Hello, everybody. I have got I'm gonna make this a adventure squad video for you here. All right, so let's leave the barracks here just to get you an idea. Obviously, this will be different depending on which grand company you're in, but I am a twin adder baddie. So, anyways, we gotta go here. And this should look familiar to anybody that's in the Twin Adders. So here we just click on the barracks. Excuse me. I actually don't remember the old quest. Like, you have to do a quest to unlock these guys. So I am assuming here that you've already done that. But so one of the things about the Adventure Squad, I actually really like the Adventure Squad. It's great especially for leveling like DPS classes. Because the queue times can be so long. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to check on what was this called? The regimen board. Okay. So here we're going to take a look at, actually I'm going to use this bottom option here, the view squadron roster. I'll go through the other stuff here in a minute. But alright, so this is all of my Adventure Squad. I think you only start with 4 original members and then you can recruit 4 more. You can only ever have 8 at a time, which I think is a little lame. I kind of wish that they were a little bit more like the Pokemons, where you could, catch them all. But not important at all. Who cares? And the cool thing about these guys is actually you can change them into whatever you want. So like right now I've got a Marauder, I've got a Lancer, I've got 2 Pugilists, 2 Conjurers, and then here's an Archer, and then a Gladiator for the last one. These stats are okay. So we've got you got physical ability here, mental ability, and then tactical ability. These stats are determined by A, their level, and then B, their class. So basically everybody here is maxed out. My impression is recently they've changed the experience that these Adventure Squad members get so that they'll level faster. I think they used to be a little bit harder to actually get leveled up. So anyways, so if you want to take a look here, this is my, obviously my Marauder here. So she's got 130 for her physical ability, only 31 for the mental, and then 53 for the tactical. Generally, your tanks, and actually there's only 2 tanks, because these are level, old level 60 classes, they didn't add they never added the Dark Knight, and then maybe it's obvious, then they didn't add Gunbreaker either. So those are the only 2 tank classes that you can have. As far as the ones that have mental ability as their best stat, I think Conjurer actually is the best, and then there's Arcanist and there's Thaumaturge as well. And those are all the magic classes, and again, those go off their mental ability. And then as far as tactical ability, it looks like Lancer's pretty good. Although it does look like Archer's just a little bit better. And then I don't know what Rogue is, because you can actually get the Rogue too. And then Pugilist is somewhere kind of in between. So obviously their tactical ability is the best of their stats, but they've also got a ton of physical ability as well. Alright, so what are those even for? Who cares, right? So let's go take a look over here. Mission complete. Excellent. Alright, so here we've got the Serpent Squadron Sergeant. Jeez, Serpent Squadron Sergeant. Wow, that's a tongue twister. I feel like they did that on purpose to be jerks. Anyways, so you can check out the squadron guide here. This will tell you a little bit about all the different stuff. This does a pretty good job here. Command missions are where you go with your Adventure Squad into actual dungeons, and that's what I'm going to do. The unit must comprise 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 DPS. That's pretty standard. So you can't go in with a lopsided group with 2 healers or anything goofy like that. I'm not going to read too much more about about this stuff, though. Like, if you really want to, you can, you know, read it yourself, because I just don't think it's all that useful for me to go over it. But and we'll talk about some of this stuff when I'm actually in there. Battle tactics. This is actually really important, so I actually am going to zip through this quick here. But battle tactics govern unit members' behavior during a command mission. So initially, only the tactic independent is available, but more will be learned as you complete missions. Other tactics include offensive, balanced, and defensive. Each directs a unit member's behavior while offering unique enhancing effects. These effects receive boosts as you complete missions and gain in tactics mastery. Battle tactics can be set ahead of the mission. To do so, speak with your soldiers in the barracks and select display orders. Let's actually do that right now before we talk about too much else, because for the Adventure Squad, I would say that this is one of the most important things there is. So let's just click on, alright, this Defense Master. Oh, wow, okay, I have a bunch of these just completely buffed up. And then, yeah, so it looks like 5 of my members are completely maxed out. And it looks like maybe 3 aren't. So let's take a look at the first one. Alright, so if you just click on the character's portrait, this tells you obviously a little bit about the character. Now, this is called chemistry. Chemistry is kind of interesting. There are a bunch of different chemistry bonuses, I guess I would call them. So for this character, when accompanying a conjurer, there's a 40% chance to receive Disciples of the Hand specific materia. This is actually a really cool one. Basically, every time you do a mission with this character, there's a chance that you'll get, you know, Disciples of the Hand material. Again, but they have to be, unfortunately, the requirement is they have to be with a conjurer. So that's kind of cool. I'll go over some of the other chemistry that I have with other characters. But, alright, so you've got a couple of different options here. Confirm chemistry is blocked out because basically, obviously, you can change the whatever chemistry bonus that your character has. After squadron missions, there's a chance that new chemistry will come up, and that'll be down here if you get that. I don't think. Let me just actually check if any of my other characters are. Oh, no, they don't. Okay, so over here, this would indicate on this far right side, if you notice, there's like a little lightning bolt, and they're all grayed out. That means none of my characters have any, like, chemistry change options. So, I mean, like I said, all of these will be grayed out then. But again, right after you do a squadron mission, sometimes they can potentially learn new chemistry. But anyways. Alright, so let's check out display orders. So these are all the tactics that I've unlocked with this character. Now, I've run, I don't even know how many dungeons, tons, just tons with these Adventure Squad. Everybody starts out with the independent 1, and it goes up to 5. And unfortunately, though, these are all random. So, like, I guess if you got really, maybe we'll say unlucky, because I actually don't really like to use independent that much. If you get super unlucky, you could, I guess, technically, maybe unlock all 5 levels of independent before you got anything else. But I mean, the chances of that happening are basically nothing. So generally, what happens though is after every time you run a mission with these guys, you'll either most likely, especially at the beginning, you'll most likely unlock something else. So like maybe you'll get balanced 1. You only ever get 1 level at a time. You'll never be able to jump from like independent 1 to independent 3 or anything like that. So only 1 tier of these will ever unlock at a time. Now, I prefer offensive, basically on everybody, just because I like to run through this stuff as fast as possible. And I don't find that the other tactics are needed in most cases. There are maybe some dungeons where, defensive tactics would be better, but I generally don't find that that's the case. If you notice here, though, okay, so let's talk about what you actually get. So we'll say independent 1. I think independent 1 is only like a plus, I don't know, maybe 5% or something like that. I don't even know if it's that high right when you start out, but independent gives you HP damage dealt and damage received bonuses. So obviously you get 20% extra health, you deal 20% more damage, and you take 20% less damage if you use the independent tactic. Now, offense is just a straight damage, and at maximum level, obviously you get a 60% damage dealt, which again is pretty phenomenal. Defensive gives you a 30% HP bonus, and you take 30% less damage. And then balance just gives you an extra 30% health and 30% extra damage. So, again, I think this stuff is okay, but for the most part, I think that offensive is just the best. And that's what I always keep it on. Again, because I just kind of like to go balls to the walls, for lack of a better term. Change class. So this, you will need these different books to change the class. Again, here are all of the different classes. So again, you've got Marauder. Well, she's already a Marauder. Then there's Gladiator. And actually, it does tell you, if you look down here at the bottom, what your stats will change to if you change classes. Again, I'm not going to bother with any of this stuff just because my characters are beefy the way they are, and I want to keep them this way. The other thing to keep in mind is that whenever you use these, your character will actually lose 1 level. So if you're level 60 and you change this, or if I was to change this character into a Marauder, or sorry, a Gladiator, say, and it does, actually that is reflected down there too. So it'll say, it says Marauder level 60, and then there's a little arrow to the right, and it says Gladiator level 59. So that's what happens, again, if you decide to change that. It's not the worst thing ever. Again, you can just level your characters back up, and you'll be maxed out. But that's the only other crummy thing. Like if you like to change your characters around, that sometimes is needed depending on what your missions need. If you like to send them out on missions, but oops, I used the wrong options here. Yeah, we're talking to the wrong person. Get out of here! Oh my gosh. Menu is owning me. There we go. Okay. So the Serpent Quartermaster will have these different books. Let me see which. I'm in the wrong. I think it's material. Yeah, here we are. Okay, so you have to be a Serpent Captain at least to unlock these. Obviously, your your Grand Company, has different ranks, and you need to get at least to this part if you want to just buy these. Oftentimes, though, you'll get chemistry with your characters that'll say, like, whenever accompanying a we'll use a conjurer again as this example, but sometimes it'll be like a 10% chance to receive contemporary warfare defense, and that's if you want to use one of these books to change into one of the tanks. Again, either Gladiator or Marauder. Offense. Lets you change between basically the physical DPS. Excuse me. And then here's magics. Magics will let you turn your character into a Conjurer, Thaumaturge, or Arcanist. So, pretty cheap, 3K. Again, I don't use these anymore just because my characters are set up the way that I want them to. Here's the Squadron Enlistment Manual. These are pretty nice for if you're actually just trying to get new Adventure Squad members. So basically, if you buy this and then use it out of your inventory, it will give you it actually just gives you a buff up here, and you'll actually see it up on your buff bar. Let's actually, I think I've got some of those, and I'm just going to use one just because I have extra. Yeah, I have some here. So let's remove one. And I'm just going to use that. I've already enlisted everybody, so I just wanted to show you guys this. But here you are. So this shows you squadron recruitment enlisted chances increased. So basically, there's a bunch of different ways that Adventure Squad members will join your Adventure Squad. And let's see. So basically, it's under challenge log. So it's all to do with your challenge log. Some Adventure Squad members will join based on the battles category. Some will join, I think PvP is, actually I think all of these are technical. Maybe not Eureka. I don't think you can get any through Eureka. And I don't think retainers either. Definitely Gold Saucer, definitely Grand Company, Treasure Hunt, Crafting Gathering, Leave Quest, Fate, and Battles, I believe, too, for sure. Maybe PvP, I'm not sure about that one. But, yeah, so basically how this will work is, let's take, for instance, Crafting and Gathering. So, basically, if you pop one of these, and if you finish this, if you finish crafting up a storm, so basically you craft 30 items, I believe right after that, basically it'll tell you that a member has requested to join your squadron. And whenever that happens, what you want to do is you just want to come here to the enlistment papers. So here it tells me no new enlistment papers are currently available. That's because I haven't completed any challenges and got any, members to want to join me. And actually, I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to take a cut here in my video and actually go do that just so that you can see. Okay, so I'm going to try to choose one of these. I'm going to grab something that I'm selling, and here we go. This has got materia slots open. So I'm going to try to use the FF14 materia. I'm going to go over to the board here, find some crap materia. Oh wow, that's actually expensive. So what's that? Jeez. I need to find something like this. Cheap. Okay. Alright, I need to not need to just not be so cheap. Whoops, and I just realized I could probably do it like this. Let's try that. Alright, so let's open up the challenge log. Yeah, so I'm trying to go with Meld Your Heart, so let's try this here. I'm gonna do, oops, I should dump that somewhere else probably. That's not gonna work. Okay. So this is probably because this is garbage. Garbage material, or is it because I had the challenge log open? Ah, it did work. Okay, great. So, unfortunately, it doesn't track apparently when you've got this open. So you have to. I had to close it and bring it back up. So now I'm going to. I'm actually going to just remove that materia and put it back in. So let's close out of that. Retrieve materia. This is super cheesy. Alright, so let's meld that back in there. This is going to be boring watching me do this 5 times, so my bad. I apologize, but, I mean, this is kind of a neat little trick, right? Alright, meld. This used to take, it was like dark matter or something like that. When you'd want to meld things, but it doesn't do that anymore, which is super convenient, obviously. Are we done yet? Meld. Process actually probably would go a little bit faster if I would have just melded this other. There we go. Oh, almost complete. Okay. Okay, one more time. That's my guess anyway. Let's back up. Challenge log. Yeah, one more time. Okay. Meld. Bloop. Get on in there. Get on in there. There we go. Alright, so a new recruit has arrived. View enlistment papers in the barracks. Let's do that. Actually, just gonna probably sell this because actually let's try to take that back out. We'll just sell. Sell items. Sorry, I know this is a complete waste of time, but Normally I wouldn't even bother selling this stuff because it's so cheap, but whatever. Just want to waste all of our time. So let's do that. Alright, so let's go back and check on a new recruit. Keep in mind, I will not actually be using whoever this is, but and there actually is a list. Maybe I'll put a link in my description box to all the different squadron members and how to get them, because that's kind of important. And then I'll actually just go over the ones that I've got and why I went with them. Maybe. I mean, it's actually just completely because of kind of like how they look, I guess. All right, into the barracks. All right. So, all right. So here's the enlistment papers. So let's take a look here. This is a hideous little Lalafell. But you can use the question button to take a look at kind of what they look like. Yeah, I mean, look at that disgusting little beast. All right. So actually what you can do here, so this is a conjurer. Reason for enlistment, I wish to serve under an officers whose hands can create as well as destroy. That just signifies that we recruited this person due to our, Disciples of the Hand or land achievements. If you want to decide later, you can postpone them. Here you can actually look at who you've got. I'm just going to dismiss this person though, because I'm never gonna. You need to go away. No lalas allowed. All right, so here's my squadron. I go with Yen. I think this is a Makode. Yeah, it's a Makode. Kumukiri is one of the dragon people. I've got her tricked out with I don't know, what is that, the gladiator PvP gear. This is Oa Nala. I think she originally started out as a archer, but I changed her into a pugilist. This is Juladaba, something like that. I turned her into a conjurer. I think that's the same with this person, Vinbolo. Ptolemy is a Makode with a... I don't know, I think this stuff you get from the gold saucer, but she automatically comes with it, which is actually why I picked her. And she's an archer. Torgana, this is an Auras, another dragon person. I think she was originally an archer as well, but I turned her into a lancer just to sort of diversify a bit. And this is Korchi. Korchi is another Aura, I think. Yeah, it's a dragon person. And same deal. I picked her because she's got that. Oh, that's like the old. I don't know, pirate outfit, I guess. I don't know if you can trick them all out with. Actually, I don't know what you can do with them as far as glamours. I don't know if you can literally do whatever you want, or if they are actually tied to their classes. I think it might be. Let's just take a look here. Outfit. Oh, you have to actually speak to them. Okay, you can't apply glamours through that option. Let's take a look though. So yeah, so this is you can just kind of change whatever they're wearing. Oofda, excuse me. All right, so it looks like. Yeah, you can cast glamours from your inventory or your armory chest, or from your glamour dresser, but oh, okay, yeah, because this is all stuff. That's gross. Let's reset that. Okay. I think that's good enough. Yeah, you can glamour your characters depending on, obviously, the gear that you've got. So yeah, so that pretty much takes care of that. Change class. We already went over that. Confirm chemistry. Again, that's, actually if you've got the option to, you can change whatever their kind of, bonuses. Outfit we've already done. So let's talk a little bit more about these actual like ability scores and what those are important for. So that is actually only important for these squadron missions. So, all right, there's 3 different tiers. When you first start out, because I think you have to unlock these back to back. So the level 1 military courier, these, yeah, level 1. Wow, so the level 1 mission are, super easy. Then there's 2 of them. But if you notice here up at the top, it says required attributes. So you need 160 physical, 150 mental, and then 175 for tactical. Even with just this squad that I've got here, obviously we're blowing this stuff out of the water. Which is, again, to be expected from level 60s. And, again, it's a level 1 mission. Let's talk a little bit though about the most difficult ones. So for the most part, I don't bother with any of this stuff, other than it's Imperial Recon, and that's because the reward is 5 squadron battle manuals. These can be tough to hit though, the attribute requirements. So let's see if I can even do that, because again, sometimes these are actually really... Actually, I don't think I'm going to be able to, now that I think about it. So, let's just move some folks in and out here. Well, okay, so I've got my physical done perfectly. But I don't have enough mental abilities, so the problem is actually with my squad itself, is I just don't have the characters that I really need to bump my attributes up that high. Probably if I would swap out somebody like, I don't know, maybe this gladiator. If the gladiator was another conjurer, or maybe even a thaumaturge or something, I could probably make this happen. But yeah, I'm just not able to do that. I'm not even really that close, to be completely fair, or to be completely honest. But if you'll notice here, the problem again is I'm way too high on tactical ability, and obviously that's the only one that I'm hitting now. And I'm just a little bit short on physical. So again, even if I swapped out one of these monks for another one, like a conjurer or something, I might be able to hit that. Actually, I'd probably need to swap out both of those and go with something like this. So. No, I'd still be short. Jeez. I'm just looking. So basically now I'm 53 short on my physical. And just looking at what I've got here, yeah, there's no way to make this happen. The other thing is, okay, it doesn't necessarily mean, or you don't necessarily have to hit that perfectly. If you're a little bit short, sometimes the mission will still succeed, but the chances that it succeeds drops down a bit. Here, let's just see what happens when I'm meeting 2 of the conditions. Yeah, so being that I'm meeting 2 of the conditions here, the guy is saying the mission will be challenging, but I think our squadron is equal to the task. So there's a chance that this would be successful if I sent them out. And so again, the reason for even doing this though is because of these. It's 15% increase to your experience whenever you kill something. Obviously that works even in dungeons, so that's the reason why I do these. And that really sums up squadron missions. Again, you have to do them. You have to start here to work your way down, or you just work your way into more difficult missions. The last thing I want to talk about though is the mission affinity. So this says none. That one's none. That one's wow, all of these are none. Okay. Okay, so here's the first one. So officer escort, mission affinity, the aura, and the pugilist. So let's just take a look here. So this is an aura, which means that, and when the affinity is, or when you meet the affinity for the mission, it basically increases your chemistry option or chemistry bonus all the way to maximum. So here it says, as mission affinity is at maximum, there's a 100% chance to receive disciple of hand specific material. So this person will make that happen. Like that will always trigger. So let's hop or bounce this back to frontline support. So normally she's only got a 20% chance when at or above a duty's recommended level to get that disciple of hand materia. But again, once I hit officer escort, because that mission affinity is being triggered because this chick is an aura, that makes it so that she's got a 100% chance. So let's just move out those two and put my pugilists in. So same deal with these, because these are pugilists. As maximum or as mission affinity is at maximum, there's a 100% chance to receive crafters scripts. There's a 100% chance to receive disciple of hand specific material. So if I sent this squad out with this specific setup, I would get basically a ton of stuff. Let's see if there's, yeah, that's about it. Okay, so the last thing I really want to talk about with these, specific with the squadron members, is again, once you send them out, usually it's basically a day. So if you check in with this guy the next day, they will come back, and this guy will, obviously he'll report on whether or not the mission was successful. If it's successful, there's a chance that you will get new chemistry, and again, you can either keep it or throw it away. Or you can abort the current deployment. So like if you send them out and you decide, I want to use the adventure squad for something later, you can do that. One other thing that this is actually pretty important that I should bring up here is the training courses. So there's a couple of different things that the training courses can do. And keep in mind your adventure squadron has like different levels too. Like you've got one. It's 1, 2, and 3, something like that. But the maximum attributes of your adventure squad goes up as your squad itself levels, and that's pretty important. But so one thing that I could do to try to meet the requirements for that mission that I wasn't able to get was to actually do probably this one. So do the advanced training, physical and mental. The reason for that would be that would increase my physical and mental score, and it would drop my tactical score down just a little bit. And the reason why that would be good is because I was a little too high on the tactical score. So again, I could do that and maybe try to be able to hit that a little bit easier, but I'm not going to bother. And then if you notice, there's an experience reward as well. Looks like actually all of these are 2,000, but if you do the balanced, it's 3,000. So that's kind of cool, but oh wow, yeah, that really bumps that up. So yeah, this is just kind of a neat way of adjusting your stats just a little bit, and again, that can be useful to actually hit those requirements for the squadron missions. All right, but anyways, let's get to the actual, I would say, useful stuff, or the most useful stuff, which is the command missions. So command missions actually cost you Grand Company Seals to run, but you get squadron experience, obviously, as well as any other potential rewards that you could get out of the dungeon. And so you can start running these at level 20. most of these I've done. Oh, I've never run Halatali. That's funny. Some of them are easier than others. I think Pharaoh Sirius is probably the best one of the level 50 dungeons if you want to run a level 50. Copper Bell Mines can be a total pain in the ass. Same with Brayflocks. The final boss is just a real pain in the butt. Wanderer's Palace Hard is also extremely difficult. There's a couple of bosses in there that are just really tough to actually make happen with the Adventure Squad. I think, though, the most useful dungeons are actually Sohm, All, and the Vault. Because once you get into your 50s, it can be a little bit difficult to level some classes, especially the DPS classes. Actually, that's kind of true for the rest of these, too. They're just really nice to level your DPS classes. Not so much your healers and tanks, because healers and tanks generally always have pretty good queue times. So you don't really need to do that. But that's what the Adventure Squad, I think, is actually useful for, is leveling your DPS classes. Again, because the queue times can be so bad. So these can be a great way to kind of get through the 50s and get to 60, which is what I do. I run most of these right up until I'm 60, and then I don't do these anymore. I don't think it's really worth running Fractal Continuum or Pharaoh's Serious Hard. Actually, I don't think I've ever even tried this. Pharaoh's Serious Hard, that is. But anyways, all right. So let's take a look. I'll show you exactly what this is like running these. Now, I would say that the biggest issue with the Adventure Squadron is it's a lot like the new Trust system. If you've got into that with Shadowbringers yet, is the Trusts don't use AoE skills, and your Adventure Squad really doesn't either, which again makes it really a pain in the butt sometimes. But they are incredibly beefy. I think, I'm not even sure if I have to heal my tank for this first pull. We'll see here. Kind of just want to watch and see what happens. Yeah, I mean, so like, look at this. I mean, I'm not doing anything. Granted, I do have a fairy that's, yeah, she's healing the tank. Yeah, so she's doing a little bit, but I mean, they've already got most of these enemies killed. Again, now, keep in mind, this is with everybody with Offensive Mastery 5, so that's why this stuff is dying so quickly, too. And, I mean, honestly, you know, leveling up and getting your stats up through the earlier dungeons is really nice because, you know, trying to level... Ooh, geez, I'm gonna kill myself. Trying to level your character, your Adventure Squad, if they've got, like, you know, Independent Tactics 1, is going to be obviously significantly more difficult than when they're at, you know, Offensive 5. So, again, keep that in mind. It's again better to, you know, actually get them leveled up and get their tactics earlier on in the lower level dungeons. That's not to say that you can't still run these if you've got... I mean, let's just say that you don't do any Adventure Squads until this level 57, and you come in here and all of your members have Independent 1. You can still make this happen. It's just obviously going to be a bit more of a slog, so keep that in mind. Oh, last thing, not last thing probably, but these are your orders. So you've got Engage, you've got Disengage, and then Execute Limit Break. You can still use your regular Limit Break, which is sometimes good. I think that the Healer Limit Break is not useful at all for these, just because... I mean, if you're a healer, it only, like, that limit break just heals, and most times you're just not going to need it. That's not to say that it could never be useful, but for the most part, it's not. And then if you'll notice, the Adventure Squad hasn't really been, excuse me, programmed with, like, the updated skills and stuff. Excuse me, sorry. Sheesh. There we go. Needed to take a drink there. All right. Anyways, so as I was saying, the Adventure Squad still has a lot of the old abilities like convalescence. Jeez, words are hard. And then awareness, which I don't know if that's good or bad. Like I don't know if they had updated skill sets, if they would be more effective or not. Just not really sure on that. I guess it's just kind of funny. Unfortunately, the pugilists will only ever use Fists of Earth, which is a shame. But I think it's only Monk that actually gets Fists of Fire. And again, like they're stuck as pugilists and not Monk, obviously. All right, so let's have him. I always have him target this guy in the back because he's a caster. Oh, and then I don't know why. Like, why are they now attacking me? Well, A, because the tank never does any like AoE right off the bat, so you'll notice that a lot too. So like, you'll send your Adventure Squad in to attack something, and then if you hit like a buff, you'll pull aggro. It's silly. Every once in a while, though, I've noticed that the Marauder uses Overpower, which is nice if she actually like accidentally hits other enemies with it. But I feel like they don't really go out of their way to make sure that they get and keep aggro on everything. I've also noticed though that the tank does have Ultimatum, which is again an old skill that's basically an AoE provoke, which is kind of nice. But long story short, they don't keep aggro on multiple targets well. Again, mostly just because they're not ever doing AoEs. And your DPS classes will not use AoEs ever. Well, not ever. Sometimes they do. It's pretty rare though. I've seen the pugilists use what is that AoE skill called? Fist of Ruin? I'm probably totally butchering that. Anyways, it's the first skill in their AoE chain, I guess. Their new chain. Fail. Chop. It's so brutal. And that's why you use shields. Okay, so that's that. Again, this stuff is pretty freaking easy, and I've really been slacking off. Basically, didn't DPS that boss at all. But that's how ridiculous this Adventure Squad is. Their damage is just through the freaking roof. Which, I guess is probably the trade-off for them not using AoEs, is just that their single target DPS is so ridiculous. Oh, she missed with overpower. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Now I'm going to send them out to kill that. Oh, but she's got some aggro built up, and I'm going to rob this stuff. The other kind of cool thing about about Adventure Squad is you always get everything out of the chests. It goes right to your inventory. Obviously, because you're with a bunch of NPCs. And the great part about that, too, is that once you leave, you can just donate the stuff right to your Grand Company, and they will give you seals. So at a certain point, actually, it might always be the case. I'm not sure, but you'll pretty much always either break even or come out ahead in Serpent seals, or I should say Grand Company seals, not necessarily just Serpent. There was an overpower. So you shouldn't ever run out, basically, I guess is what I'm trying to get at here. Once the limit... oh yeah, well, my limit break hasn't even filled up yet. That's kind of crazy. Not that important, though. I don't think that the limit break is all that great. But it can be kind of nice to get through. Well, you have to be careful with it. Maybe I'll just leave it at that. The problem with the limit break is if the bosses say, you know, about to target someone. Like normally, I'm trying to think of some good examples here. Teal Man is a good one. So Teal Man always like randomly targets a person. I think it's other than the tank, and will drop, you know, like meteors on them. The problem is, for targeting purposes, Teal Man will never pick anybody else but you. And that can be a real problem when you want to try to use the limit break, because if you do it at the wrong time, you'll start the limit break and then you're locked in place. I mean, this is, you know, pretty self-explanatory stuff, but and it's not like it only happens when you're, you know, in the adventure squad, but it's harder to use the limit breaks, I would say, with the adventure squad than it is normally, just because of, again, some of the goofy targeting issues. So yeah, so there's that. So yeah, again, just be careful. I don't know how many times I've essentially just killed myself and wasted the limit break because I've used it at a really stupid time. I mean, that happens more than I'd like to admit, but again, them's just the breaks. It's actually not a bad idea to use it right away. Usually, there are, again, some cases where that's probably not real wise, but yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep. I think I'm just gonna keep going here. Normally, I would just cut this and call it a day, but I just want to show you guys some. Really, the bosses. This is probably my favorite dungeon now to run, just generally. I think it's because of the last guy and how like mentally abusive he is. So yeah, so we'll get to experience that. That's always fun. Excuse me. Melting. Alright, get in there. Get in there, pets. Get in there, slaves. Do my bidding. Do my dirty work. Okay, so let's see, what else? Let's get out of the way here. Yeah, here, the gear is really nice to, again, get just because you get those serpents, or the Grand Company seals. I always want to say serpent because that's what I am. Oh, look at that. I ate that heavy swing to the face like a baddie. Because I'm horrid. And let's get out of the way of that. Down with you. Down with me. Down with you, man. That laugh is amazing. Again, this place is, I don't know, one of my favorite dungeons in the entire game. It's because they say such ridiculous things. Let's get our dots back up. Dot back up, I should say, and let's get out of the way of this. So that skill's not fun. Get out of the way of that. Down with you. Jeepers, buddy. I'm trying to cast spells here. Dot back on. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with the limit break. Probably right there would have been a good chance to use it. Here he's going to get knocked back. It's not going to matter because I'm up against the wall already. And let's... Oops, wrong skill. Oh, jeez. Get out of here. Come on. It's so annoying. Like the dude's dead on his feet. I think, well, except for the last boss. Yeah, the first two bosses do that, where it's like the battle's over, you've essentially won, but they've got, I don't know, nonsense to spout at you. So let's get you going. The other thing I would say with the Adventure Squad, again, is actually just don't get too greedy, too, with pulls. Normally it just doesn't work out. Actually, I might be able to pull off a little bit more because I'm the healer, but I know if you come in here as a DPS, the NPC healer doesn't do a very good job of really anything. You know, again, maybe if I was to adjust their tactics too, like if I had the tank on, like defense, and then maybe the healer on, I don't know, maybe independent or something else. I don't know. Maybe they would do a little bit better job, but generally the healer doesn't do that great of a job with keeping the tank alive. With pulls that are too big, I should say. Especially like, you know, like double pulls or something. Like you're not gonna want to. Same deal if you're the tank and you're, you know, trying to have the NPC heal you. It just isn't able to keep up with the damage output of the enemies. So that's probably the biggest detriment to doing these, or my biggest gripe, maybe I should say, with the Adventure Squad is, again, and that's fine though. I feel like you're not really supposed to be able to do this stuff just as fast as if there was legitimate people playing, because I mean, otherwise, what would be the point of grouping, right? And I think that's, again, I don't know if that was what they were going for with the trust system too. Maybe I'll do a video eventually on the trust system. It's not much. I mean, it's certainly not more complicated than this. Than the Adventure Squad. It's actually, yeah, it's a fraction of what you can do with these guys, which is kind of a shame. I feel like the trust system could be a lot better, but it's pretty much garbage. Again, I'd say probably the same deal. It's probably okay if you're a DPS. I've run with Truss as a tank, and I was not impressed at all. Kind of the same. It suffers from the same issue that the Adventure Squad does, where you just can't pull a whole lot because the healer isn't able to keep up with your damage, and then the DPS only ever uses single target attacks, so pulling gigantic groups of mobs doesn't really make that much sense. You know, again, mostly just because they're not able to keep up with. Your tank's probably going to die, and you probably won't kill much. So, but again, yeah, probably not the worst thing ever, though, because again, I kind of feel like, you know, if trusts were too good, then why would you ever, you know, actually do, you know, or why would you ever use the duty finder, right? So that's my 2 cents on trust. I won't talk much more about those because, again, this is the Adventure Squad. But I will say though that, I mean, it's just almost can't just not mention them because they're so much alike. It's just that you know, Adventure Squad is, I would say, significantly better. Unfortunately, they can only go up to level 60 though, so that is where their role ends, unfortunately. Alright, so here he is, Mr. Cherbert himself, the jerk himself. This battle is a complete joke compared to when you're running with actual people, because normally this guy uses, I think it's called a Holy Chain, or Holy Chains, something like that, which chains 2 people together, and then you have to, you know, run away from each other to break the chain. But the Adventure Squad basically can't be targeted by those things, so he just doesn't use them, which is, again, just kind of a joke. So this part I never do quite right with this scholar. Oops. I'm gonna dot everything for whatever reason. My DPS just is always kind of trashy with this character because I'm horrible at it, so that's why I'm usually never able to get these down in time. It's probably because the Adventure Squad is running around like crazy people too, and not actually focusing on what they should be focusing on, but whatever. Oh, yeah, look at this. Like, just go around in a circle. Well, they might be targeting the same thing I am, to be fair to them. Yeah, so that one's gonna blow up. That's fine. We'll live. So, I mean, I imagine that maybe that could be a little bit more difficult if your adventure squad isn't as leveled, too. Because if you get a bunch of those, or if you're not able to get enough of those down, that could potentially be a huge problem, now that I think about it. But, again, because I've got these guys set on offense, it's pretty easy to get all that stuff down in time. And then I'm just baiting out the whatever. They're basically weight of the lands, right? Fire is the tank buster. Who cares? No, that's not a tank buster. It's AoE. That's the other crazy thing. So AoEs barely even hurt your adventure squad. They must be programmed with like a gigantic reduction in AoE damage or something, because they don't take anything when stuff like that goes off. So that's that. Okay. Leveled up. Got some stuff. Let's get out of here. Alright, so I'm gonna wrap this up here. So here you'll just want to talk to this guy. Mission complete. So normally I'm actually able to get rewards here. This person usually gives me Disciples of the Hand stuff, and then this chick's got I think Crafter's Scripts. But because I didn't run with a Conjurer, her chemistry isn't activating, which is why I didn't get anything. Let's just take a look. Yeah, so hers is grayed out. 10% chance to receive Crafter's Scripts. That's almost nothing. That's really horrible. And then when above level 50, there's a 30% chance to receive Disciples of the Hand specific materia. So that's that. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if I've got anything else really to talk about with these guys. Probably not. Again, I guess I would say if you've got any other questions, this guy does a pretty good job of explaining the different aspects, I guess. I do think, though, that the battle tactics is probably the most important thing to really understand, and how it works and how you get more. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Again, I really like the Adventure Squad. I wish that you could go a little bit higher with them, but you can't. So, oh well. But anyways, all right, that's all I got. Hopefully this guide was helpful to somebody, and as always, you can stay tuned, and hopefully I'll be doing some more videos.